Welcome back to the second episode of Jock Talk. I'm with just-adavis, and today we're going to be talking about the Pelicans. Tell them who you are and where they can find you.
What's up, man? I'm just-adavis. Y'all can catch me at Pals in the Blender on YouTube or just-adavis on X. Appreciate you, Jock, for having. Well, Cullen, appreciate you for having me on Jock Talk, man. Very exciting. Congratulations to you. Start your new show, getting it going. I'm very, very honored, honestly, to be the second guest on your show, man. Appreciate it.
Thank you. I'm glad to have you on. So let's start talking about the Pelicans.
Yeah, let's go. Let's do it.
So as reports came out yesterday, we're interested in going after a top 10 pick. What do you think? What team should we trade this to, and which the package look like?
So this is that question is like kind of interesting, right? And I also think it's kind of lit because if you look at who is in the top 10, right? Like where realistically could you see like the Pelicans making a move, right? So you start thinking about like I don't think you can get into the top 4, right? So I like let's just like you definitely not moving the top 3 picks. Like I don't think any of those teams are moving any of those players. And then 4 is Chicago. So I don't see Chicago moving their pick at all either. So at the absolute highest I think you could get to is 5 with the Clippers, depending on what it is they try to do. Right. So before I continue going through that, like, what do you think initially? Like, because I imagine that you could do something with the Clippers as high as 5, but that would require them one committing to Kawhi. So let's say they have Kawhi, Darius Garland, they bring back Ben Mathurin. Maybe they want to look at bringing a Trey Murphy into that fold. Would they be willing to move 5 and something else to bring in Trey Murphy? If that was the case, would you like the idea of them going up as high as 5 if it cost you Trey Murphy?
I'd be fine with it as long as we get Mathurin back in the trade in 5 and select like. I really want to see how Darius Akoff would pair next to Jeremiah Fears.
That would be very interesting. And also they said that Joe Dumars and like their family is really close to like the Darius Akoff family. So like it's very likely that because a couple of the names that they said that the Pelicans like in this particular draft is Akoff. So I guess it would depend on how far Akoff fell, right? Which teams would make him viable. But Akoff, and you heard they like Mara too, but like Darius Akoff and Jeremiah Fears, do you think they're too small to like play together?
I think it would be like a perfect fit, actually.
You think so? Why you say that?
They're just like Darius Akoff can be like the 2 and catch and shoot. His shooting's unbelievable. They have like comps of him like Damian Lillard, so I'm gonna be very interested in that.
Yeah, we were talking about that a little bit the other day. It's kind of like if they were to go that particular route, it'll be the idea that you're hoping for is they could be as impactful as like Maxey and VJ this year, or Dame and CJ in the past with those like small guards and stuff like that. But the first thought was them go to 5. I don't see Brooklyn moving their pick.
No.
At 6. That one didn't really make sense to me. The Kings definitely, I don't think they're moving their pick either. They're trying to get rid of all of their teams. They're in a bit of a rebuild. Yeah. Can you imagine Atlanta? I can't really see Atlanta.
Nah, I tweeted it out to Justin yesterday, and I thought about it after. It just seems stupid to do that.
Yeah. It don't really seem like, so now that leaves you with 9 at Dallas and 10 with Milwaukee. So my realistic thought is I think there's something there possibly with Dallas if Dallas wanted to try and like maybe build a little bit more around Cooper, but I don't know if you move like maybe like Herb and something for 9. You know what I mean? Something like that maybe. But realistically, I think the idea of the Pelicans getting back in the top 10 is at 10 with Milwaukee. I think it all makes sense, like to line up to be like right at 10. You got the Giannis to Miami deal. You still got the Bucks pick for next year. So it just makes a lot of sense to me that it will line up to where the Pelicans, some would say, all right, look, we'll give you your pick for next year and something, and we get 10 this year. So I don't know how they would work it out. If depending on how we talked about the deals, but I could realistically see them doing something with Milwaukee to get that 10th pick this year for their pick next year.
What if you do something like this? If you trade Trey Murphy to OKC, get 12, 17, and a winning player like Carson Wallace, then trade
Mm-hmm.
12 and 17 to get a top 5 pick.
So
And
this is
select Caleb Wilson at
so
number
this is
4.
so the ideally I think you could like talking it out sounds like it is realistic, but I don't know if, again, I don't think Chicago would move like for, like, you would have to do Trey and something to get to number 4. I think Caleb Wilson is that kind of prospect to where it's like, I don't think you could just get to 4 with one of those or just with like 12 and 17. So I think what you'd end up having to do is like, and I don't think they're trying to trade Trey Murphy for just like, again, just for the pick. So like, ideally, I think the deals that they're trying to make would be, I guess, kind of to include. So even if you got Caleb Wilson, I think that would be more of a signal that you're kind of, I don't want to say rebuilding, because I think you could bring in rookies and that not signal a rebuild. It's just moving Trey Murphy, even if you're going to get like 5. I don't know, because I guess it would depend on what it is you got back from Chicago. Like if I got, well, no, because we said Chicago to OKC for Case and Wireless, right? I like Case and too. I think you could, honestly, I think you could get Case and Wireless without moving Trey.
What if you did like Herb and someone else for Casey Wallace?
I think you could do that. I don't know. It depends on what Case and Wallace's like extension was getting ready to look like and how they're gonna retool. Because I wouldn't be surprised if OKC moves off Lou Dort this off season, right?
Yeah.
And maybe they're making space for, AJ Mitchell or Case and Wallace or whatever. But Case and Wallace sound like he's ready for like a starting role or something
I
like that. So go ahead.
I think he's like a winning player. He's a winning player.
Yeah, absolutely. He defends at a high level. His offense is starting to come along, makes big plays. Um, a friend of mine, so let me ask you this question. A friend of mine was kind of like, all of the auxiliary pieces for OKC, he doesn't know if you should trust them or not. Because when you're in like a great system playing around great players, Shea is a great player. J Dub, I think J Dub is legitimate, right? I think legitimate. I don't want to say a great player, but like a really good all NBA type player. And Chet, for whatever people say, is a number 2 overall pick, right?
Yeah.
Remember when the players in Miami left, like the role players that were around Jimmy left Miami, Gabe Vincent, Caleb Martin, all of those players, they didn't really produce. Do you think the players of like surrounding Shea in OKC would be successful if you took them off of OKC?
Depends who they get back in return.
Mm-hmm.
Who are they going to get back in return? If they lose Wallace, Lou Dort, are
Well,
they
no,
going
no,
to?
no, not OKC. If I'm saying if you took like AJ Mitchell is really good on OKC, right?
Yeah.
If you took AJ Mitchell off of OKC, and let's say he was a Pelican, would he be as good as he is on OKC? Because he doesn't have, you don't have a Shea or a Chet or anything like that kind of surrounding him. Like, you would be more of a primary piece in that sense. Do you think like those players, Case and Wallace, AJ Mitchell, I know we talk about Isaiah Joe, Aaron Wiggins, like those kinds of players, if we took them off of OKC and they became Pelicans, do you think they would still be good players?
I would honestly think they would be better because they would have the ball in their hand more.
Okay. Okay. That's fair.
Like
That's a
more
fair assessment.
usage. They would have
Mm-hmm.
more usage than they have now.
They have more opportunity,
Yes.
basically.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Do you trust the system? Like, do you believe in Jamal Mosley's system to fit those players?
They all play defense. They're
Yeah.
one of the best defensive teams in the league.
Okay. Okay. Well, that's fair. I can see that. So as far as like the would they do it? I don't know. I don't really see, honestly, I don't see Trey being moved. I don't see Trey being moved unless it's like,
Unless you get like an
again,
insane package.
yeah, like it's gotta be like 12, like I like let's say use OKC hypothetically, right? It'd have to be 12, it got to be a massive overpay. 12, 17 players, future, like three future firsts or something like that, to where a deal where you just got to be like, okay, I absolutely cannot pass up this particular type of deal.
Yeah. I would need like a package for me to trade Trey. Obviously to the Celtics, like a Jalen Brown or something like that would be great.
Yeah.
That's the only way I would accept it.
Yeah, exactly. If you did like if Jalen Brown was available, you obviously, I think you do it. Everybody talking about Jalen Brown, they haven't mentioned Tatum, but I think if Tatum was available, you do it. Any like all NBA, I don't want to say any, but like most of the all NBA level players that are still relatively young, I think you consider it for Trey.
Yeah, like Jalen Brown, Joe Dumars wants a winning players. Jalen Brown's a winning player. Draft picks is not a winning player. You're not going to win in
Mm,
the first year with draft picks like you thought with Derek Queen and Jeremiah Fierce. It's not going to
mm-hmm.
work like that. You need winning players if you're going to trade Trey Murphy. Winning players.
What's your definition of a winning player?
Someone that can play defense and offense and contribute leadership to the team.
Contribute leadership. I liked Jeremiah Fizz talked about his, what do you think about Jeremiah Fizz? Because in his he did a podcast, the Road Tripper podcast, and they asked him about what's one of the main things that he wants to contribute this year. And his answer was leadership. Leader on the floor, leader in the locker room. What do you think about him using that as his answer when you just reference him as a lead player? Do you a winning player? Do you think he's going to have an opportunity this year to kind of like establish himself as a leader on this team?
I think so because he's like fierce. He's fearless also.
Mm-hmm.
He does anything he wants on that court. He can get into fights. He will step up for the team if something's not happening. He's the
Mm-hmm.
only player that played 82 games for the Pelicans in a while. I
Mm-hmm.
think he'd be a big leader in this organization.
Do you think he has to start to be a leader, or he can do it from the bench as well if that's necessary, if that's
I
like his role?
I think he can do it from the bench, but I think he's starting this year. He's
You
gonna
think
start.
so?
He's getting the starting nod.
I think so. I think DeJounte is on the move. I'm telling you, I think when the Giannis deal comes down, I think the Giannis deal is pretty much done. They're just waiting for the finals to finish to announce it. I think the Pelicans are gonna have some kind of influence or have some kind of association with the Giannis deal. And I think in that scenario, we'll see like a lot of the roster shake up.
Yeah, definitely. Every team in the league's just waiting on the Giannis deal to go
Mm-hmm.
through.
Absolutely.
I mean, like, if Giannis gets traded to Miami and Ware gets traded to Milwaukee, I'd like to call Milwaukee right away to get Ware.
I think I to me, where Ware fixes so many problems for the Pelicans team, like from a athleticism standpoint, from a size standpoint, from a rebounding standpoint, from a defensive ability standpoint, shooting. Like he just checks so many boxes that I think more so than any player that might be available right now. I think you start there, especially because again, he's on a rookie deal. So it's not gonna cost you, it's not gonna cost you like what it would take to trade for a Jalen Brown, right? Jalen Brown makes 58 million, almost 60 million. So you have to give up a massive salary
Yeah.
to acquire that kind of player. That's not the case with Khalil Webb. Now, Grant, I don't think he's not the player that Jalen Brown is right now, obviously. But when we're talking about fit, planning for the future, scheme, who works with most of my roster, he does. He
He
just
fits in a
does.
lot.
Yeah, he just fixes a lot of the things that you want, and a lot of the questions that they have about him is the motor, and the motor and like how much he wants it. I think with a coach like Mosley under Joe Dumars with more opportunity as well, I think you'll see. I think you'll get the best of Khalil Webb because I think he'd easily be like a 30, you know what I mean, a 30-minute per game player for sure.
Yeah, I'd give up a first round pick right now for Ware. Right now,
Absolutely,
I'd give him up my first round
absolutely.
pick.
They said, and again, you don't know how true a lot of this is. It's just kind of like reporting. The reporting is that Milwaukee wasn't just overly sold on having to keep Ware, and that his like if he were to be traded individually, his like his cost would be like a pick, like a first round pick. If
Yeah,
you could get Khalil Ware for a future first round pick, I think you do it.
yeah, same.
Mm-hmm.
I'm I'm gonna move on to the next topic. I've been seeing the Jaylen Brown rumors have been going down lately. No one's talking about
Mm-hmm.
it anymore. Like, why do you think that is?
I think it's mainly because one, it's just kind of come out that like as time goes on, you started hearing like the Boston people come out and be like, well, nobody actually said Jaylen Brown was like actually available, right? It's just kind of like during the summertime, you hear people just kind of like posting things for content, especially when Jaylen Brown at the end of the season made the comments he made about this being his favorite season ever. It just kind of like indicated to people that maybe he wanted his own team or wanted to get out. But Boston has kind of quieted that down as well. As like the reports coming out saying it's like, well, Boston may not want to trade Jaylen Brown at all. So I think it's a little bit of that. I think also is that like it's from a Pelicans perspective, there people start doing the start actually listening and paying attention to the words. I used to always say this on like the Pels and the Blender show is that like words have meaning. So we have to pay attention to like what is actually being said. All that was reported by Jake Fisher was like, yeah, the Pelicans would have interest if Boston were to move on from Jaylen Brown. And it's just kind of like, well, yeah, who wouldn't have interest if Jaylen Brown was being moved? But that don't mean that like they're actively seeking out, trading for Jaylen Brown. So I just think like as time goes on, you haven't heard much from Jaylen Brown about it. You haven't heard much from the Pelicans about it. The only thing that's really come out of was like, listen, if we are going to move a Trey Murphy, and that's another thing, they quieted down the Trey Murphy noise to a degree as well. Bill Simmons mentioned Trey Murphy, and then all of a sudden, and Trey Murphy did the 520 podcast.
Yeah.
And Teague mentioned, if you're in Indiana, you'd be an all-star. So then everybody start firing up the
Trey
trades.
Murphy room.
Yeah, and then it's kind of like, well, no, nobody actually said we would do this. And it's just kind of like, if we were to move Trey, it would be for an upgrade of a player or, again, a significant package. And nobody's put that out there.
That's exactly what Jake Fisher said yesterday on the last minute of his show on Bleacher Report, that if we were going to trade Trey Murphy, it would be for a winning player now, not no draft picks.
Yeah, you'd have to. The reason I think that is because with so much, again, most front offices, when they take over an organization, you kind of get the first year mulligan, right? Like you probably took over a bad organization to a degree, or an organization that was kind of in transition. So like your first year, like the expectations are like nobody knows what to expect in the first year of an organization. When they signaled that they weren't rebuilding initially in year one, even though they went and got two rookies, they never technically signaled by not trading Trey and Herb and Z. You signal you were trying to compete. You can't come into this season, and I think the year two is really like year one for them. Like they got their full front office. You've been seeing all the hires. They got their coach. I think this is the year where they're really gonna try and, I don't want to say push all the chips to the table. I don't want to say that, but I think they're gonna be really aggressive in trying to like make their team as good as it. I don't want to say as good as it can be, but they're gonna give themselves a true opportunity to compete this year. And you just don't do that by blowing it up to a degree or taking a bad deal for Trey Murphy. Or I don't even want to say a bad deal. I don't think you move Trey for like a pick heavy package without being able to immediately turn around and send those to someone else for like a player that can help you now. So unless that was like the plan, then I just really don't see that being a realistic scenario for how they want to compete, because you can really mess up an organ, like you can mess up a front office's agenda in the first 2 to 3 years, depending on how it goes.
Yeah.
The first year was a reset, or kind of getting your feet under you. This year they kind of got more in place, so I think we'll see more of what it is they want to do.
Yeah. So, moving on to the next topic about like what trades you would do for this year as the
Mm-hmm.
Pelicans GM.
Mm-hmm.
You're Me and you are both very big on Jalen Green from Phoenix.
Yeah, I
Would you
like Jalen.
would you trade Jalen Green for DeJounte Murray straight up?
Yes, yes, I would. So like, so this was my me and Chaz was like doing a show last night on Chaz's page, check the Chaz
Yeah.
page, check that out for sure. But I think last night, I think we figured it out. I think we figured out fixing the roster. I'm serious. I think we cracked the code, put it together on how you can make this team truly competitive and still remain flexible. So like the short of it is, in the Miami Giannis Pelicans deal, we sent DeJounte and Hawkins to Miami, right? With the 27 Bucks pick going back to the Bucks, and we ended up getting
Wiggins?
Andrew Wiggins. We got Andrew
Wiggins?
Wiggins, Khalil Ware, and number 10, right?
Yeah.
So if you ended up doing that, you still have Poole, which you could use, like Poole and Herb or whatever. But you could send Poole, I think salary wise it matches, to Phoenix. Not saying that they would want to do that, but you could like incentivize it some kind of way. If you really wanted to just add Jalen Green to this roster, you could send Poole and something else
Yeah.
to them for Jalen Green if you wanted to. And like there's just so many ways you can add talent to the roster. And like that would just, I don't know if you start him, maybe. You probably have. I don't think Jalen Green's coming off the bench. You think Jalen Green be willing to come off the bench?
No.
No. So let's see, what would that lineup? That lineup don't work as well. That lineup don't work as well.
Jeremiah Fears at the 1, Green at the 2, Zion at the 3, Queen at the 4, and Ware at the 5.
You could do that. Do you think Andrew Wiggins?
Assuming Trey Murphy's gone, that's the lineup.
No, Trey's still here in that.
Okay. Then I'm gonna keep Zion at the 4, bench Queen, Fears, Green, Trey, Zion, and Ware.
Oh yeah, see that's more ideal, because then you still you'd have, because then you still have technically Herb off the bench, you'd have Queen off the bench, you'd have Andrew Wiggins off the bench, like that, like your team becomes bigger, more depth. But to kind of talk about Jalen Green specifically, because I like Jalen Green. I know a lot of people are down on him because like he could be inefficient at times, but you see when he gets it rolling, he's
really good.
Yes, he can have, I don't want to call him like an offensive juggernaut or stuff like that, but he can absolutely have moments where he takes over games. You see the athleticism. I think he's still getting better. That's another thing too. I know a lot of people kind of look at these guys and they're like 22, 23, 24, and it's like, man, he is what he is. And it's like, bro, you got to give that guy time to like be hurt, figure it out, learn his game, learn his body, continue to get better, continue to mature. And like I think there'll be different players by the time they're like 25, 26. It just depends on your window. But if you got a number 2 pick and a talent like Jalen Green, I absolutely think it raises your ceiling for sure.
And your standard.
Absolutely. Like, you know what you'd have to be able to play with a team that had all of those levels of talent on the team. Like and if you could get them all to buy in, if you got them all. And again, Jalen Green come from Houston with come from Houston with Ime. So you know, like the requirement was to play defense. So I don't think he'll have an issue with like being asked to be like a defensive player and whatnot. I just think it's him getting better, and I think if I would be willing to take a chance on Jalen Green. So let's say that deal didn't come through, and then one of the deals we had to do was just like DeJounte for Jalen Green. I'd be willing to do that.
Yeah, I'd be willing to do it too. This,
Yeah.
I think Jalen Green, he's been to the playoffs before,
Mm-hmm.
and if we make the playoffs, he can bring that leadership to the team. He can tell them what's going to go on in the playoffs.
I think he's been there. He's been there twice.
He was there this
Um,
last year.
Yeah, and he was there with Houston the year before when they went to the playoffs. So like I he does have some playoff experience. I just I just look at it, if you get enough talent on the team, like enough talent, like truly talented guys, right? Like, and I don't think Jalen Green is like a specialist by no means. You know what I mean? Like a lot of times we'll look to add players that are specialists, like they can only shoot or they can only defend or they can. You need to get away from that. You need players that can put the ball on the floor. It'll be, you know what it'll remind me of? It'll be similar to how when Indiana was making their playoff run and you saw Aaron Neesmith and then
Yeah. Pascal
what's the
Siakam,
Pascal Siakam? What's the other guard that was playing?
TJ McConnell, Tyrese Halliburton.
The other one, the other light skinned kid.
Oh, Aaron Nimhard.
Nimhard. Yeah, right. So they were running Nimhard, can defend, put the ball on the floor, shoot. Neesmith, defend, put the ball on the floor, shoot.
Shoot.
They had so go ahead.
Yeah, they can all shoot the ball.
Yeah, so when you have so many players, like Obi Toppin was coming off the bench, you know what I mean? Athleticism, big. He was hitting big threes for them. It was just, and that's how they ended up making their run. They just overwhelmed you with players. Like they played a style, and they weren't like a great defensive team in the regular season either. If you remember, they just started locking down when the playoffs came because that's kind of what happens. You got to defend, and those dudes were able to play defense. But I think if you added like a Jalen Green and you had Jalen Green, Zion, Trey Murphy, and Sadiq Bey, and possibly Khalil Ware and Andrew Wiggins, you start being like, well, all right, these are a lot of people that Fears and Queen. It's a lot of people that can have impact on the game. So I would absolutely take Jalen Green.
That's also way better shooting than last year on that court right there.
Absolutely. And not just shooting, that's more scoring ability as well, because Joe Dumars mentioned that, like, in one of the older interviews, he was like, you can't just be a shooter. We see shooters get iced out of games, right? All you really got to do is just Trey Murphy, for as good as Trey Murphy is and how good of a shooter is, he had to start shooting from 35 feet away to be able to get like an open look, because we didn't have, true shooters on the team. So like it'll free him up, because you can't really commit somebody to him. You got people that can break the paint, get into the paint and kick out and pass, or they can get to the paint and finish, because everybody's athletic. Jalen Green gets hot. He gets really streaky. You know what I mean? And you can see him go for 20, 30. You start adding a lot of 20-point scores, and then like that just makes you a very versatile team.
Yeah. It does. Makes you very versatile.
Yeah, so I like the idea of Jalen Green.
Very
Absolutely.
athletic.
And we need a lot of that too. You need athletes that just, again, man, you can see plays where like Jalen Green get a steal, 2 dribbles, and he's at the rim. You know what I mean? Like with a dunk. So you need players that can kind of expand your margins to a degree. Like you don't have to play so perfect every game, because you're at a talent deficit in the grand scheme of things compared to most teams. You want to be able to line up every night, and like your top 8 to 9 players can match up talent wise, physicality wise, to athletically to a lot of these other teams, and that's gonna give you another shot to compete in the regular season.
And you know what that team could do right there with Fears, Green, Trey, Zion, and Ware? Fast break points. They all going to be
absolutely. They'd be fantastic in transition.
That'd be like top 5 in the league probably. If you had that team.
I would imagine so. I think you cause a lot of turnovers. You get a lot like you if you were playing against that team, you would have to not turn the ball over. And then the thing about having a player like where we struggled in like previous years is you don't really have again not just the rim defense and protecting the paint, but somebody being able to just really just get rebounds, right? Just get rebounds in possessions and then like start the breaks. Like being able to just get the ball out, start the break, and just it would just do so much for the team, in my
Yeah.
opinion.
And since like Ware's a block option, he can block the ball, play good defense, brings us a lot of spacing for Zion and Queen.
Mm-hmm.
Brings a lot of spacing to the floor because he can
I
shoot.
agree.
He can shoot.
Yeah. And then if Eves continues to get better, you'd have Eves energy off the bench who can run, Carlo off the bench energy who can run and finish. Sadiq Bey can come into the game and steal space. I think if you get to even, and we haven't even gotten rid of Herb in that deal, I don't think just yet. But like I think if you have Herb off the bench, Sadiq Bey off the bench, PV off the bench, Bryce McGowan's up, that's a lot of defensive players. I don't think Sadiq Bey played okay defensively, but like that's a lot of players off your
Players.
bench that could like cause havoc for other teams if you deploy them properly. I don't think a lot of second units would be prepared, and even some starters would be prepared for like the amount of pressure that you would be able to put on them from a defensive standpoint and getting out in transition. And then you'd have a fresher Eves. You know what I mean? I just think it would. I think it would work out well.
I could, I could see Sadiq Bey getting traded this offseason. What would you want for him if he does get traded?
I don't. I think there's no way they trade Sadiq Bey. I'll be honest. I don't think there's no way they trade Sadiq Bey. The reason being is because one, he only makes $6 million, and I think you have to look at like I think the value of Sadiq Bey to the Pelicans is bigger than like other other teams, especially in the off season, right? Because he would be like a throw because of the salary. He would be like a throw in for most teams, and I don't think you're getting like a first round pick for Sadiq Bey. So
Yeah,
I
he
just
might
think
get a
from like a go
couple
ahead.
second. He might get a couple second round picks.
Yeah, and that just don't really make sense to move Sadiq Bey for when he just what did he average like almost 18, 19 points a game, something
Yeah,
like that. So I think right now because of the salary that he makes until he signs an extension, and if you sign the extension, you can't get moved until like January, I think it is, or,
yeah,
or like December or something like that, depending on when you sign it. Um, I just don't, and that's Troy Weaver's guy. Like Troy Weaver has brought Sadiq Bey with him pretty much everywhere that he's gone. And this year, you saw him finally found a home, finally get some footing under himself. I don't think he's going to be a starter for you next year. I don't think he should, but if you have Sadiq Bey on the roster, I think it just makes you a better team, like a
yeah.
more reliable team.
And if you, since like Andrew Wiggins would be on our team from the trade we just discussed,
Mm-hmm.
that's NBA Finals experience person right there.
Absolutely. Yeah, bro. Like Andrew Wiggins, if you Andrew Wiggins probably have to start one, he'd be making 30 something million, but like Andrew Wiggins would have to start. I think Andrew Wiggins could easily start in like play obviously in place of Herb Jones. But if you had Andrew Wiggins out there with Z and Trey, and I mean you still could go swing, and we said swing and go get Ja. So like you swung turn Poole and Herb in the Ja, and you had the lineup of Ja Z, Trey, Aaron Wiggins, and Andrew Wiggins, and where with Sadiq Bey off your bench, Fierce Queen off your bench, Eves off your bench, Bryce off. It's a very exciting, it's a very exciting
Yeah,
thought,
that's
man.
a very good team. I don't see Herb. Or if we have that, I don't see Herb here anymore. I see Herb
No,
traded. He's gone.
yeah, I think he'd have to move in
What can
that
you get back from
scenario.
Herb? You can get a first round pick, and what player you want to get back from Herb?
I think so. I similar to trade to a degree. I don't think. Well, I'll say this: if somebody was willing to give me a pick for her, I think I'd take it. Like somewhere in not just any kind of pick, but if it was like a first round pick in the teens, I'd do it. If I could package her with something and got into the top, I don't think you can package her with almost anything and get into the top 10. without moving like one of your more valuable pieces, right? But I think if somebody like if OKC was like, here's what's their second pick, 17, like here's
17, yeah.
17, and I don't know,
Aaron
here
Wiggins.
Aaron Wiggins for Herb, I'd probably do it, to be honest.
He is
Because
good.
I think
Yeah, good shooting. Good shooting.
yeah, yeah. So I think I'd do it from like a salary standpoint and potentially getting that pick. Uh so I consider it. But like Herb, to me, there's gonna be players moved this off season, and I think Herb is one of the first players I think they're anticipating moving. It's not that he's not good defensively. It's just I think the defense has come back down to earth a little bit, and you're starting to see, like, again, regular season and playoff basketball is completely different. But I just don't think his like he's too ineffective offensively during the season, like as of right, like the way it currently stands, for you to even take a chance with that kind of opportunity. So I think Herb Jones gets moved.
Yeah, same. I have a question.
Mm-hmm.
I know you keep up with like Boo Crew Media's draft videos, draft prospects videos.
Yeah,
Say
yeah.
we don't get Ware or any of the people we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
Out of the people they've done so far, that Chris and Lito have done so far, who
Mm-hmm.
would you want out of all those prospects that they've done?
So I personally, and again, as of right now, we don't have a first round pick. So we have to assume we're talking about second round, right? And even in the person I want, you kind of gotta, I think you gotta go more to the top of the second to possibly be able to get him. But I'm a big Trayvon Brazil guy. Like
Same.
Trayvon Brazil, to me, let's say hypothetically they made minimal roster moves, right? I don't think you should, but let's say they made minimal roster moves and just brought that team back healthy and added a Trayvon Brazil. I think with his size, shooting ability, athleticism, ability to defend the rim, I think that that move alone will also help stabilize your roster. That's a player that you can see playing for you. He's an older prospect as well, so he should be more ready to play right now. Like, he adds so many of the things that we talk about with players like, I don't want to say Ware specific, but players like Ware, right? The athleticism, the shooting, the rim
Yeah.
defense, or the ability to block shot. Like, he adds so much of that. And I think you need players like that on the floor at all times. So like adding Trayvon Brazil, I think also that gives like Fears, and because as of right now, I got Fears and Queen both coming off the bench, right? But that adds like another wing player to Fears and Queen, or a guy that could play the four, that just makes your second unit more dynamic, bro. Like I think they just need players like that for sure. So for me, it's Trayvon Brazil, and I don't want to say it's not close, because they had a couple other second round picks that a couple second round
Yeah.
prospects that I like. But for me, Trayvon Brazil is like ahead of almost anybody.
I'll give you mine. I'll explain why.
Mm-hmm.
Say we don't get Ware.
Okay.
Henry VASAR.
Everybody like Henry.
He's like, he can shoot really good, and like
Mm-hmm.
he has good passing skills and stuff. I think he
Mm-hmm.
would fit good with our team because he can space the floor also.
Henry's like, how tall is Henry? Like 7'1"? How tall
Yeah,
is Henry?
7'1". Yeah.
Do you think, and I like Henry, don't get me wrong, but like, would Henry be your starting five, or would you start Eves?
I'd start Eves until Henry gets experience. But if he
Mm-hmm.
knows what he's doing right away, I'd start him.
You think it's because like Henry's more versatile than Eves?
Yeah. He
Oh,
can I think Henry can give you like 2 or 3 point shots a game.
mm-hmm. I can see that. I think what I liked about Henry is his, again, and we talking about this too, like Henry's a versatile, like has some versatility to his game. So like you could throw him the ball and it's not just it's gotta be like a quick handoff or something like that. Like he can help in moments run your offense a little, not run your offense through him, don't get me wrong, but like it's more, options, I think, if you give the ball to Henry than when you have a Eves. And I think he also plays better. I think he'll play really well off of Queen. I think it'll just give you a lot of options. And he played with Caleb, if I'm not mistaken, too. So
Yeah, he
like I
did.
think he
Caleb
made
Wilson. Yeah.
yeah, I think he made Caleb a significantly better player. And I think you have to take that into account as well. How well that he played onside another star player. So I think he's familiar with playing like his role and stuff too. So you don't have any confusion with that.
Yeah. Do you have like any other trades you would like to do this off season if you're at the Pelicans GM?
I
Because
still like the Ja deal. I don't know if that happens, but I like so my top trades as far as like targets are Ware first, obviously. I still like Ja second, even though I know Ja has a lot of question marks that come along with Ja. What would be a sneaky like deal for me. And I don't think they do it. I would love to add Dylan Brooks.
what if we did Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks and sent over DeJounte Murray and like someone else worth Dylan Brooks' value?
Bro, so if it was like DeJounte and Herb, hypothetically, let's say DeJounte and Herb for Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks, which I personally think we become a significantly better team because Dylan Brooks, while volatile, which is what Joe Dumars wants, he wants the volatility. And you want that dude that's just kind of like a menace on the court to a degree.
Toughness. He got that toughness. He got that dog in him.
Dog, him and Fizz, bro. Him and Fizz would be terrorizing. Like, listen, my all time like Pel, like it. Let's say we made a couple moves, and let's say you added Isaiah Stewart to that team, bro. Give me. This is my Pelicans terrorizing team. Like my Pelicans terrorizing.
I'm gonna give you one after too.
Go ahead. Hold on, no, give me yours first.
Okay, so Jeremiah Fears at the 1.
Mm-hmm.
Trey's getting traded to Detroit for Azar Thompson and Isaiah Stewart.
Uh-huh.
So Fears, Jalen Green at the 2, Dylan DeVillin at the 3. Zion at the 4, Ware at the 5. On your bench, you got Azar. Did I say Azar already?
I think we said Fear starting. We said Jalen Green at the 2, Zion, Ware, and no. I saw it must be the 3, huh? No, Dylan. We said Dylan.
Yeah. Then on the bench.
Azar off the bench.
Then Azar off the bench with. Who else? We have Queen, right? Queen still on the bench. Isaiah Stewart.
Yeah. You still got Sadiq Bey.
Yeah. And go get me we need a point guard for off the bench.
Oh, so we moved Trey, Herb, DeJounte. Did we move Poole? We didn't move Poole.
No, we haven't moved Poole.
Yeah, so you still got Poole on the bench.
What if you moved like Jordan Poole for like Pods to be your backup point guard?
No, I'm not doing Pods. I like Pods a little bit, but no, I'm not moving JP for Pods. And I don't think JP would go back to Golden State with the history that they have right now, even though I think it would fit well with them. But that second unit is gonna need some offense too. But like,
yeah,
bro, you would be I don't know, we'll be suspended a lot with that. That kind of team. So Fears, Green, Dylan Brooks, Zion, Ware. Where did we trade Trey Murphy to? Oh, to Detroit for Asar.
Yeah,
for Asar and Stewart.
Yeah.
Multiple. So Detroit, you know what? If you could do, you probably could get Duncan Robinson in that too.
Yes, Duncan.
To be honest, so like if we did Asar, Duncan, and Stewart. Duncan and Stewart. You'd have shooting. You'd have a lot of defense. You'd have a lot of defense and toughness. Jalen Green. It would be fun. It would
Be
be,
very fun.
it would be fun. They would be bullies. You still have Eves because we didn't move Eves, so you'd have
No.
Eves off your Eves.
Yeah.
You still got Carlo, Bryce. Technically, we didn't move Bryce, and you still got Peavy. I imagine also if you send a trade to Detroit, you getting some kind of you probably getting a 21st pick. So let's say that pick turns into like I
A
don't know,
point guard.
Chris.
A backup point guard.
True, I haven't looked at the point guards in the 20s. Or like who would be around in the 20s, but I probably want to sign a veteran point guard. So
Yeah. True.
I probably look at a veteran point guard for that team because
Like Keon Ellis.
uh no, maybe something I don't hmm hmm. What are the maybe like I wouldn't say Tyus Jones, but like I think you need more like a table setter because right now we too volatile.
Yeah.
like right now we need some kind of calming presence of some kind. But like we'd have to look because as of right now, that lineup would be Fears, like you said, Fears, Green, Dylan Brooks, Zion Ware.
That's a lot of
Uh,
scoring too.
It is like I think Fears is gonna be really good. I think Fears is gonna be averaging close to like 17 next year if he plays. You
Yeah.
know, if he gets, I think he's gonna get the minutes, obviously. But I
Yeah.
wouldn't be surprised if he's around like 17 in game. But like Fears, Green can score. Dylan is an underrated scorer. He shot the ball really well. He scored really well last year before he broke his hand. Zion, obviously, where that's toughness, size, athleticism. And then Asar defensively is a menace. Stewart off your Stewart and Misi off your Stewart, Misi, Queen. That's a big lineup, but you could play. You
You could
need
play Misi at the 5, Stewart at the 4, Queen. Oh.
it's getting a little crowded now. We might have to move Eves.
Eves. Move Eves.
We
Yeah.
have to
Move
move
Eves.
Eves. Yeah, you have to go find like a point guard or something. That's interesting though. That's an interesting little
Wait.
roster matchup. I like.
Doesn't. What if you moved Eves for the Bulls pick and like Colin Sexton from the? Isn't Colin Sexton
I
play
do
for the?
like Colin Sexton. You can always go. Listen, we still hadn't moved Poole yet. You could just package Poole, and somebody, and go get Ja.
Yeah.
And go get you always if you got 30 something million with Poole, you can always just swing and go get Ja. So
Then
you could do
move.
like
Then move Fierce to the bench.
yep. So then you have so you took Poole out, right? And then you got Ja. So you start lineup volatile. Ja, Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks,
Brooks, Zion,
Zion, Ware,
Ware,
Khalil Ware, and then you'd have
Azar,
Fears,
Fierce.
Queen, Asar, Stewart, and Sadiq Bey. Or and technically we ended up getting Duncan Robinson too. So you got Duncan Robinson, Misi, Carlo, Bryce, Peavy. That's not a bad roster.
That's a good scoring roster, first of all, and a good defensive roster.
It is.
And a
It
team that
is.
would have a lot of ejections every once a week.
Absolutely. Yeah, Dylan Brooks. But I think Dylan, bro, if you put Dylan Brooks, if you put Dylan, and then you would have Dylan Brooks back with Ja, you know what I mean, back from the Memphis days. If you had Jalen Green teaming up with his old teammate's brother, right? Because he played what I meant, so you got
Yeah.
him back with a source. So I'm sure they probably have a relationship, bro. You could run a menace lineup, and that's what I call it, a menace lineup of like Ware, Dylan Brooks, Stewart, Asar, and I don't and Fizz at the point guard. Oh my gosh, bro.
Is that your dream lineup too?
No, we just
I
fouling everybody. We fouling everybody. We pushing people down. That's the cold red lineup. That's the cold. Listen, somebody Wimby to push somebody a little too hard. You know what I mean? We gotta we gotta send the dogs in to go handle business. That would be fun.
What is that your dream lineup also, or dream team? Dream in his team?
Nah, my dream minutes team, yeah, probably so. But I think I still like the Ware Andrew Wiggins,
Team?
Yeah, so because if you did Ja, because that lineup ended up being like Ja, Trey, Wiggins, Z, and then Ware. Yeah, Z Ware, and then it had off the bench was Fears. Yeah, we moved so Fears, Queen, Sadiq Bey, Fierce Queen Sadiq Bey Misi, and I think we had the number 10 pick. So like whoever you I like Kristen, not Kristen, Cameron
Christian
Carr. I
Cameron
like
Carr.
Cameron Carr. So I like
Okay,
Cameron
other.
Carr a lot. So if you took like say you took Cameron Carr at 10, people might feel like it's a reach, but I think Cameron Carr is like a shorter Trey Murphy. Right? Like I
Yeah.
think the shooting's gonna be there, the athleticism. He's not really great like on ball, but you can see him cut. You can see him hit big shots. I think you can see him defends the rim well. Young, athletic. So then, like your second unit is like Fears, Queen, Cameron Carr, Sadiq Bey, Misi. That's a lot of shooting, a
Yeah.
lot of scoring, run, defense. That's probably that those two, and then like auxiliary pieces. You still got Carlo. Maybe you go make a move for like Colin Gillespie or something like that to get you
Yeah. And
another
three agency.
shooter. Yeah, and
Yeah.
free agency. You do that, and then you have Carlo Bryce Peavy. Carlo Bryce Peavy. And maybe you keep that second round pick and swing for somebody in the second round. And
Yeah.
Brazil.
Okay.
And Brazil.
I'm
And we
putting you
ready
on
to
the
go.
spot here.
Mm-hmm.
Give me the record of my team and give me the record of your team.
Ooh. So your team,
Was
your team
Fear
is the
Menace team.
the
Fears.
Menace team.
I
Did you
mean,
make are you making the Ja deal in your
yes,
team? Or
I'm
you
making the John deal. So
okay?
Jalen Green,
Mm-hmm.
Jalen Green, Zion, Dylan Brooks, and Ware. On
Mm-hmm.
my bench, we have Fears, Azar, Isaiah Stewart, uh, Derek Queen, and who else is on my bench?
You
Duncan
had
Robinson or Sadiq
yeah,
Bey.
Duncan Robinson or Sadiq Bey. Yep. Having both of them is nice.
Yeah,
Yeah, and then your third liner was like Misi Carlo, Bryce Peavy, and either Duncan or Sadiq Bey. That's
yeah.
a good team too. I think that's a good team too. I like. Oh my gosh, that's tough because you still got Jazzy Ware, right? Like so, those about cancel out. So then it depends on how you feel as far as Jalen Green and Dylan Brooks versus Trey Murphy and Andrew Wiggins.
Yeah.
Who do you think wins that like if it was that like that duo, like what do you think is better, Dylan Brooks?
And Jalen Green or Trey Murphy and Andrew. I'm gonna give it to my duo because they're younger.
Overall, they are younger. Andrew's a little older.
Andrew's like 33.
Is he?
Yeah.
But Andrew's been playing
Andrew's
championship
good.
level, that former number one overall pick. He's still good. He still
I'll,
gets
I'll see how
buckets.
old Andrew Wiggins is right now.
Ooh, that's tough. I think right now I give y'all the edge because well, I think Trey had a better season than Jalen Green last year. Even though he had a better season, I don't know if he's necessarily a better player than Jalen Green.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
Dylan Brooks is such an impact on winning,
Andrew
man.
Wiggins is 31 and Jalen Green's 24 and
Mm,
I don't know.
ooh, that'd be tough. But your bench, I think is a little better because your bench is Queen, Asar, Stewart, Sadiq Bey, and like Duncan Robinson. And in my bench, it was Fierce, Queen, Sadiq Bey, Missy, and Cameron Carr, or Gillespie if we had it. I think your team would be a little bit better to be honest.
I'll give you your record team and give me my record of my team.
My team, or you want me to give you the record of your team?
Give me the record of my team and I'll give you the record of your team.
I think your team with Mosley, I think that team could win 50 games.
50 and 32.
I can see that. If
I'm gonna
they assuming health, yeah.
yeah, 51s.
Mm-hmm.
I
Oh,
could
that's
see,
a defensive monster, Lord.
imagine if something like that did happen though.
I think because to me, you know what it'll remind me of to a degree, um, kind of how Detroit played this year. Because
Hmm.
in the regular season, like if you have enough just people that's gonna play hard defense every game, you'll win games. Like look at what Dylan Brooks and again Houston did still win. I think they won 50 games this year too. But the year before when they were the 2 seed, Dylan Brooks had, Dylan Brooks and Jalen Green. What did they do? It was just intense defense throughout most of the game, right?
Yeah.
Like Jalen Green, Dylan Brooks, Tari Eason was better that particular season. You still had Amen Thompson. So, like, on your team, you're talking about Asar defensively, Dylan Brooks defensively, Jalen Green, who, it would be more in his element. You still got Z Ware protecting. Yeah, I think your team is better.
Yeah, and that my team right there, it has more
Mm-hmm.
offense than that Pistons team did have this year.
Absolutely. Yeah, because you still got, well, Cade is an MVP, but like outside of like an MVP level player, but outside of that, right, you still have the potential upside of Ja. You still got Zion. You still got Jalen Green, where his offensive production
Yeah,
potentially. You still got Fears and Queen, Sadiq Bey, Duncan Robinson. Bryce was good off. Yeah, I think your team is. I think that team is better.
I give your team like 45 wins,
Yeah.
but I just don't see like the defense as good as my team.
I'll say this. I think my team. Oh no. I was about to say I think my team would have a better chance in the playoffs because I like the idea of having like Andrew Wiggins in a playoff series, and I like having Trey in a because I think while I like Jalen Green, I think Jalen Green's as because right now that's your number 2 or 3 option, right? I think
Yeah,
Jalen Green's game is more dependent of having the ball to a degree. I think he could play off ball, but I think it's just more dependent where I've seen Andrew Wiggins play on ball or off ball. I've seen Trey play on ball or off ball. So I think like when the playoffs were to come, I think we could have a more like defined role. And depending on what teams we match up with, I don't think you'd have as many because there's time. Asar is an offensive liability. Stewart is an offensive liability. You know what I mean? You don't know if you'll
yeah,
be able to play Stewart come down the line, but you have you. I think both teams are really good. I do think yours is a little bit better. Um, but I think when it came down to it, I'd like having Trey and Wiggins more than Green and Dylan. But I think in the regular season, your team would wreck.
yeah. This is the last topic. Then you can ask me some questions. And I'll answer them too.
Mm.
What does it need? What do we need to take the Pelicans to get back into the playoffs this year? Like, what do we need for the Pelicans to be back in the playoffs?
I think you need one. You got to be healthy. That's first. I think you have to be even if they ran it back completely, right? I think if you ran it back, I think they could get back into the playoffs. Like I don't want to say as is because you do need center help, but I just think competent coaching will get you at least to the play in, right? Health and competent coaching, which I think Jamal Mosley is going to bring and get you at least to the play in
Yeah,
because like when they were healthy, they were very competitive, right? At least you were at least competitive. And if you can have some kind of chemistry, like again, the lineup, they were playing different lineups almost every night. The rotations were different every night. DeJounte Murray, even when he came back, like he would come back, then he would have to sit out, then he would come back and then have to sit out. So like it was just it was a really tough situation to kind of build any true chemistry that teams have been building all season, and you didn't even have really a identity on top of not playing any like bigs. So I think I think the idea is if they're gonna play defense and just be healthy, I think you could get to the playoffs.
Yeah, that's the same for me. You gotta be healthy, you gotta have good leadership, and you're gonna have to want to play with each other.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. Do you think? Is it my turn to ask questions?
Yeah, your turn to ask questions.
All right. First, do you think that this team next year, no matter what happens, do you think they make the playoffs? Like, no matter what happens to the roster so far, if you have to say, because in every season, if you look at it going back to I don't know how long, every year there's new teams in the playoffs, right?
Yeah.
Do you think the Pelicans make the playoffs next year?
With the team we have right now, if we keep the same team, I think we can be in a play-in tournament,
Mm-hmm.
like as like an 8 seed or 9 seed. But if we like make big moves and get big time players and get a good defensive team, good leadership, I'd
Mm-hmm.
say we get like top six, top five.
Okay. So you said top six. All right. Um, I definitely think they make the play in. Also, I think they make the play in a little bit by default too, because with the new drafting system that's going to be in place next year, I
Yeah.
think, and that's actually my next question too. But like, what do you think? How do you think the new drafting system is going to affect how teams play next season?
I don't think we'll see any team tanking as much as they used to.
Mm-hmm.
Because they don't want to lose their. Because isn't it like the top four? If you're like the worst three teams that you pick, you get the same odds as the playing tournament teams.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't see any. I see a lot of teams trying next year and not tanking. And with the
Mm-hmm.
draft class not being as good as people are saying as this
Mm-hmm.
year's, I don't really see people tanking.
So this was what I think happens. I think, and this is a 3-year thing. I think what happens is teams tank different, not truly tank, but tank differently, right? Somebody's going to be the worst teams in the league. That's just somebody's going to be those bottom three teams. That's just the way it's going to happen. But I think what you'll see is because how it works is if you're not a play-in team, if you're like right outside the play-in, you get like the higher lottery odds. So I think you'll see teams kind of like push, and then when they get like close to getting to the play-in, start to like kind of fall back to the pack a little bit. So a team like the Pelicans, I think it benefits us because we want to make the play-in. Like we're, especially if you move the 27 pick next year. Let's say you trade the 27 pick next year. You have zero incentive to not at least try to be a play-in team or playoff team, right?
Yeah,
So if you get to the play-in, and then if you're a play-in team and you don't have any like, at like let's say there's no chance for you to win, you don't really want to like worsen your draft odds anyway. So I think you'll see some teams get to the play-in and like not look to be that 7-8 team, and I think it's going to be easier to advance than the playoffs, advance to the playoffs
yeah.
as well.
One sleepy team that people are talking about is the Wizards. Wizards can make some noise next year.
I'm,
Washington.
I listen. I'm a big Trey Young fan. Like Trey Young is like one of my favorite players that play, like of today's generation of players. I think Trey Young is he came out recently talking about him being slept on, and I know a lot of people, bro. That dude is not necessarily old. Like I believe in when he's like, man, listen, I'm going into my prime. Like I believe he's gonna be a really good player for that team. If they could get Anthony Davis to stay, they line up kind of crazy, to be honest, because you could go Trey Young, Anthony Davis, AJ DeBonsa, uh, Alex
Sar.
Sarr, and then like
Trey
either
Johnson.
Keyshawn George.
Trey
Keyshawn
Johnson.
George was good for them. Trey Johnson was good for them. Will Riley was good for them. Julian Reese late in the season was really good for them. Like that's like 8-9 people right there. And if you get a healthy Anthony Davis, again, man, why couldn't they be a top 4 team in the East easily?
Yeah.
So like I just think this year you're gonna see a lot of different playoff teams and stuff. Um
Same.
yeah. Another question I have for you: what do you think is the Pelicans' uh biggest need?
Ooh, scoring. 3-point shooting.
Specifically 3-point shooting or scoring?
3-point shooting.
Okay. Where would you what's your biggest or like what's the way that you would address the 3-point shooting?
Uh, I would go sign Luke Kennard in free agency.
Mm-hmm.
Go trade for a Ware.
Mm-hmm.
Also sign like Colin Gillespie or something like that.
Okay. What kind of It's gonna be interesting to see what kind of money Luke Kennard gets. And you got to create the roster spots for if you traded for where that will work, but you'd have to create 2 spots for Kennard
Yeah.
and Gillespie. I think if you added Kennard and Gillespie and only traded for where, I think Gillespie, like while he was a big 3-point shooter, I think he did more than just like catch and shoot.
Mm-hmm.
Like he was able to dribble the ball a little bit and do some scoring too. So I think I don't really want the idea of more just like Hawkins type shooters. You know what I
Yeah.
mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I like Luke Kennard too, but I'm a little off Luke Kennard because I don't think he gets the volume. If you could get him to get the volume, I'd be on board. But I don't like the idea of him only shooting 3 or 4 threes a game.
I have another question for you.
Mm-hmm.
Who would you rather, regular season Sadiq Bey or playoff season Rui Hachimura?
Playoff Rui.
Playoff
Playoff
Rui.
Rui.
He's a free agent
Playoff.
this season. He's
Yeah,
a free
he
agent
is.
this year. I want to go sign him. I want
Playoff
him.
Rui. Listen, Playoff Rui was one of the best. So I know the Lakers lost to OKC and they swept them, right? Again, they didn't have Luka, but a lot of those games were like close until the 4th quarter when the Lakers just didn't have enough to like get over the hump at all or really, truly
Yeah.
contend. But Rui played really, really well in that series. I would be interested in Rui
Same.
if the shooting was like legitimate, if the playoff shooting was legitimate, and he shoots it okay, size,
Yeah.
rebounds, like he defends. I think he'd be a solid rotational piece.
Same. I think he'd be really good.
Mhm. What do you think? Let me ask you this: what do you think of a Demar?
The Ademar.
Yeah, the big from Michigan.
I think I haven't watched most of his highlights, but I saw him playing the NCAA championship game in the March Madness.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh, bro! That's
Would you
someone. That's someone we've been looking for a while now. That's someone we needed for like the past 10 years.
Let me ask you this, because this is another thing that me and Chaz came up with yesterday. First off, would you rather a Demara or Khalil Ware?
Khalil Ware.
Okay, what if I told you could have both?
Both of them?
Because we thought about it, right? You don't know where Demar is going to fall in the draft. Some people have him projected like maybe 8 to Atlanta, but possibly he could make it to 10, right?
Mm-hmm.
You really don't know where he's going to go. But if you got that 10 pick from from Milwaukee in the Khalil Ware deal, right? Then you talking about possibly having the star lineup we talked about: Ja, Trey, Wiggins, Z, Ware. And then your bench could be like Fierce, Queen, Sadiq Bey, Misi. And instead of taking Cameron Cole, which I like, if a Demar is there, you take a Demar. Now you got like a true, like you could roll out double big. Like let's say you got to play Wimby and you could roll out the double big lineup of Khalil Ware and a Demar.
I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm sold. I'm sold. Because
Man,
Mara can shoot.
he could pass.
I heard he did really good with his shooting at the combine. Where can be your 4?
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah, you
Imagine
got
doing.
size. Mm-hmm.
Imagine a lineup of Fears. Is Trey gone in this situation or no?
No, Trey's still here.
Imagine if you had a lineup of Fears, Trey, Zion, Ware, Mara. Off your
Yeah.
bench, you still have Poole, right?
Yep. We still got Poole.
Poole. Misi still here.
Yep.
Poole, Misi.
Queen still here.
Queen.
Sadiq Bey is still there.
And Bryce McGowan's.
I don't think we moved Herb either. I think Herb is still here in that situation
Yeah,
too.
Herb.
Yeah,
That's a
Herb is
good
in that
lineup
situation
also.
too. Yeah, a day like if you would become one of the bigger teams in the league
Yeah,
if you made
that'd
a
be like
deal
a,
like that.
you know what do it that remind me of like a Jared Allen, Evan Mobley lineup.
Absolutely, absolutely. Like I again, a Demar, his passing, right? I think his passing would help open up your offense a lot as well. And then you just be, and he's not like I don't think he's like a skinny 7'3" either. You know what I mean? I think he had a little bit more size if I'm not mistaken. Um, Bruh, that would be a beast of a lineup too. And again, it's not anything that's not in the realm of possibility, which is why I like talking about it, right? A Demar might
Yeah,
be a 10. Like you could easily see him going 10.
yeah,
And if you get that pick ahead of time, right, you could kind of so like if you got Mara or Carl, I'd be happy with it. And especially if you added Ware to that. And I think you're talking about like you would cause a lot of teams trouble, like down the line.
a
Look
hundred,
at
a 100%.
look at how Rudy, when they had Rudy Gobert and Carl Anthony Towns. Now, granted, none of those shoot like Carl Anthony Towns, but just having those like twin tower big people on the court, bro, you would dominate inside. Like you would dominate most games from a rebounding and
Yeah.
defensive like paint presence standpoint.
Do you think
I,
it's a possibility that it
yeah,
happens?
I think it's realistic. That's because again, it really all depends on like what you do in the Miami deal. Like
Yeah.
if you sent out, and again, how we did it was DeJounte for essentially it looks DeJounte for Wiggins, right? And none of this affects what Milwaukee gets back from Miami, but like DeJounte for Wiggins, and then you end up having to send a future first to get Khalil Webb because that's about what his value is right now, right?
Yeah.
You send a first for Khalil Webb, and then you send the Bucks pick, the 27 Bucks pick for 10.
Yeah.
I think they'd be willing to do it to be able to have control over their rebuild moving
Does
forward.
wait, does Milwaukee get Giannis also? I mean, does
No, the
Miami get
Miami.
Giannis? Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
Yeah.
that 100% could be a possibility.
Yeah. So Miami, and that's who's in the league. So like the Miami would get Giannis and DeJounte, right?
Okay.
Giannis and
Yeah.
DeJounte and like Bobby Portis or something. And then Milwaukee would get Hero. It was like Hero initially Khalil Webb, but like we made the deal for the pick from them. But it'll be Hero, Jovic, uh Kasparis, uh Kasparis, and I keep forgetting who the fourth person was. And I don't know, like say it was like Hawkins or something like that. You know what I mean? But
Yeah.
they'll be getting 13 pick from Miami, like the 13 pick from Miami, 27 next year from us, and then probably 2 or 3 future first from Miami, and then the future first from us. So then they would end up with like like you would end up with Hero, some players, right? You have a young player in Kasparis, whatever. Jovic was a really good young player. You still got 13 in the draft, and then I don't know, 5 or 6 future picks, and then your pick again next year. I think it makes sense.
I I think what if that's in the works right now?
I think it all depends on how interested the Pelicans are in getting involved in the Milwaukee deal.
Yeah.
So I guess we'll see. But I think that roster, like especially it depends on again, if a Damara was at 10, if I think Cameron Carr was at 10, like you really could see a trajectory for your franchise like starting to really
Yep.
starting to
Go up.
change.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was that it created is because Andrew Wiggins is an expiring contract, like 30 million expiring.
Yeah.
Poole is still 30 million expiring. You'd have like $64 million of expiring money that you could like make moves with during the season if you needed to, just to kind of like reshape your roster. However, you could beat that so much flexibility, defense, like it. I
Yeah, I
think
know.
that's the way. That's
That's
the
the way.
route.
You got any more questions before we end it?
Nah, man, I'm good, man. Again, man, I just want to thank you for having me. Appreciate it a lot. I do have one question, one last question. What did you think? A lot of people, a lot of people are really big on like the Spurs moving forward. What do you think of the Spurs moving forward? Do you think the Spurs and OKC are gonna like dominate the West for years to come?
No, no,
No. Okay.
because hear me out. More people, more teams are gonna start making trades in the West so they can
Mhm.
compete better with the Spurs and OKC.
I agree. Also, once you become a tag team, it's hard to keep those teams. It's hard to keep those teams together. And if
Yeah,
you look at like the Spurs and what they're about to be when Wemby, again, Wemby's like a year away from his all in his max deal, and then when Castle gets to his money, which is maybe 2 years away, and then Dylan Harper's gonna be right behind him with his money. Once all those dudes get locked up on their deals, and then Fox already makes gonna be making 60 million, so you're gonna have to move him. It's just gonna be really tough to like
yeah.
get and keep teams together.
I have one more question for you before we end the show. I
Mm-hmm.
tweeted this out yesterday on my X account, and I tagged a couple people in it, like including you. I think
Mm-hmm.
I said, "Will Mitch Johnson receive all the smoke for blowing the biggest lead in the NBA Finals like Jamal Mosley
Nope.
did?"
Nope.
Nope.
Nope. That's a great point. No, because and you know was interesting is they're the highest seed, right? They had a higher record. Apparent like according to everybody, they got the best player, right?
Yeah.
They probably have the better team.
Mm-hmm.
When Jamal Mosley blew that lead to Detroit, they were the 8 seed against the 1 seed. Their second best player, Apollo, was out hurt,
Yeah.
right?
No,
And then you
Franz
went,
was out hurt. Franz was hurt.
yeah, and then you ended up blowing that lead. But again, you blew that lead to the 1 seed. Like, nah. Nah, I think people are gonna give Miss Johnson them the mulligan of being like he's gonna get some criticism, but it won't be as bad as what Jamal Mosley got. And I think it's truly unfair, but I think they're gonna give him the mulligan of being like a young team, first time, on that stage. But realistically, I think he should receive more criticism because I think organizationally he has more resources around him.
That's what I was saying.
Yes, to like for that to not be a thing. And then also he recently were in these positions. Like you just recently were in those positions. You saw if you did your homework, you saw the Knicks walk down
And against Cleveland and come back by
Cleveland
22.
22 in the fourth quarter. You saw them do that. Every game that y'all have had leads and the Knicks have come back, like at some point it's on y'all. So nah.
Yeah.
I appreciate you for having me, man.
Thanks for coming on.
Absolutely,
We're
bro.
gonna have to do it again soon.
Yeah, man, this was fun. This was fun.
Go support Pels in the Blender. My name's Colin Connick. I'm the host of Jock Talk. Just-adavis. Tell them where you're from, where you are, where they can find you again.
Yeah, man, y'all can catch me on Pels on the Blender on YouTube, but just-adavis on X. I appreciate y'all, everybody. Make sure y'all like and subscribe to the channel, man. Appreciate you for having me.
All right, this is the end of the episode. More people are coming on soon, so I'll be in touch. See y'all soon. Thanks.
Peace.